Hi, I'm Cindy from BeDancewear.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a pattern for a circle skirt. It's a wonderful thing to know how to do, to make 50s costumes, just to make an ice skating skirt, to make a dance skirt, to make an Irish dance skirt. It's the same technique used for all of them. I even make them longer just to wear around.
So the first thing we're going to need to do is to figure out how big around we make the hole in the center of a circle skirt. This particular circle skirt will have no seams going down the sides. The only seam you'll have is at the attachment of the waistband and the attachment of the waistband where it meets together. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to figure out what the circumference is. So that is the part around where you're going to wear it, whether it be on your waist, on your hips, or somewhere in between. So I'm going to do it on a smaller scale just to make it easier so that I can be a little closer on this. So we're going to say that the measurement is 20 inches. If you don't have a measuring tape, what you can do is you can just take a string or something, wrap it around the spot that you need it to be. Don't have it all loose and baggy. Have it just right. And then you're going to take that spot. Now, what we're going to need to make the pattern is to find out what the diameter is and the circumference. Now, usually you need a little ease in a pattern. And instead of dividing it exactly the way you need to in pi to figure that out, this will give us our automatic ease. So if you take the piece that's the size of wherever you're going to wear it, you're going to divide it into thirds. And then you're going to cut one of those thirds off. Now this will be including a little bit of ease so that it's not real snug tight against your waist. Then that'll give you the diameter, which would be straight across the circle. Now we want to get the radius, and I will show you why. So you're going to take that piece and cut that in half. And that'll give us what the radius of the waistline would be. I'm going to go ahead and throw the stuff away, but this gives us that width there. Now, remember, we're saying that the waistline or where it's being worn is 20 inches. That'll be important later on. So to make the pattern, I like to use old sheets, old fabric, something like that, just not the original fabric that you want to use. You can once you're confident in it, but this way you can mark it up without a problem. So the first thing we're going to want to do is take that piece. We're going to put a little pin in the very edge of it and in the very edge of the corner. This piece of fabric is folded in fourths. Really important to make sure these folds match up and inside here it matches up because sometimes that piece will slide forward. So once we have that, we have it pinned here. I'm going to take a Sharpie so that it's really clear to see, and I'm going to put a little mark. Now, without moving where this goes, I'm going to spin that a little further and a little further. You want to make sure this part doesn't slide up and down. A little further, and then finally over here. Now let's go ahead and take that out. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is figure out how long do you want that skirt. Do you want that skirt, let's say we want it 14 inches, okay? So we're going to need to take 3.5 plus 14. If you're not really sure, you want to do it quickly, you can just do 14 plus 3.5. So you put the 14 on there, then go to here. So it would be 17.5. You don't have to do any math, just real quick like that, you got it. So we want it at 17.5. So we're going to do that same thing. Now I'm going to go by the corner of this and keep that corner in because I'm going to be marking on this edge here. Otherwise it will change it. So we're going to put that right there. We're going to mark it at 17.5. Keep that corner in place. 17.5. Just a little bit further, making sure that all these spots stay lined up, and you just keep circling around. Now this pattern works for a lot of things, poodle skirts, dance circle skirts, cheer skirts, ice skater skirts, and in a longer version, I do it sometimes as just a cute little skirt to wear. The one thing you'll want to be careful in this, if you're doing it as a skirt to wear, you want to make sure that it's long enough to cover everything So, oops, where am I? 17.5. Sometimes I'll put a little piece of tape or something on that so I don't have to keep finding the same spot over and over, especially if it's a weird inches, you know, you're having to go 3/4 or something like that. And then keep going, get to the edge, make sure that's all lined up. 17.5. Now I'm going to set this to the side. A good way to double check, and just follow those lines, a good way to double check, you get to that halfway point, this should fold and it should match up. And then we're going to go ahead and cut down here. Cutting right through the tip of the dots so it all stays the same. Now let's go down here. Let's set that to the side over here. And there's your base to your circle skirt. It's really easy to do. Now, something you'll want to remember, if you cut in here, it'll change this length. So you'll want to make sure that you keep it the same distance all the way through. Now, something else I'm going to show you. Let's say you decide, oh, I love some stripe fabric. I have some here. I just want to go ahead and use stripes. So let's say you cut it on stripes. I'm just going to go ahead and draw some stripes on here. Now, it all depends. Those stripes are going to change when they hit the sides. See how they'll dip down in the front and the sides will stay? That's a really cute little thing that you can do with stripes. But just remember, it's not going to be a striped pattern all the way around. Now, the last thing we're going to show you how to do is the waistband for that. And the way you get the waistband, let's open up. You know what? Let's get a bigger piece. Those are really too small for this. I'm going to move this around. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this. Make it a little bit easier to demonstrate. Okay, so we knew we wanted our waistband. 20 inches was what the actual waist was. So I'm going to mark 20 inches. Now, if you do it that, there's going to be some slip. You'll want to put some elastic in if you do it just at that. What I suggest is that you go ahead and take about 2 inches off. Now, you'll want to test this. See if it feels good. You'll sew the waistband, you'll try it on, and if it doesn't feel good, it's too loose, you can take it in a little more. Perfect your first pattern, and then you can go on to change it up a little bit. Okay, so we'll go 18 inches. Let's go ahead and press 18 inches. Now the question is, how wide do you want this band? Remember, it'll be folded in half. So I'm going to go ahead and go with, let's do 3.5 inches. That'll give us folded in half, 1/4 of an inch for the seam on each side, and it'll also give us a 1.5 inch waistband. So we're going to want to start here at this end, go 3.5. I like to go into the middle. If it's really long, go a little bit more than that. And the very end at 3.5. Now we're going to take the yardstick and match those all up. If they don't match up, something's wrong. Just verify your measurements. And there. And like that. Now make sure and mark your pattern skirt. I always like to write right on it how many inches long it is, and then maybe who it's for, because then that way you'll know. And sometimes I'll even put the date of when I did it. That way I'll know, if it was your daughter, 1999, that's the pattern, what it went with, what skirt, and then as far as growth or anything like that, you'll see where to change it. And we'll go right there, cut it up like that. And as soon as I cut this, I'll show you a few little things. throw that away. So now this waistband would get sewn in half like this, sewn right there, and then it'll get folded in half. So see how it's much smaller than it appears, and then it still gives room for sewing. I give 1/4 inch if you're using an overlock, but if you're using a straight stitch, give yourself a little bit more, like maybe 3/4 inch. Some people like 1/2 inch. It just depends on whatever you like working with. And then you will end up with a skirt that looks like this when it's all sewn. This is the basic idea. And it's a really cute, fun little skirt. Thank you for watching our video. And if you enjoyed it, make sure and click here to subscribe because we're going to have some amazing DIY videos coming out. And if you want to get our free, complete dance costume DIY guide, click right here or go to bdancewear.com/DIY guide. And lastly, if you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks again for watching our video. And remember, be original, be colorful, bdancewear.com.